نحمده ونصلي على رسوله الكريم أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقه قولي واجعل لي وزيرا من أهلي ربي يسر ولا تعسر وتمم بالخير وبك نستعين يا فتاح ربي زدني علما ربي هب لي حكما وألحقني بالصالحين ربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار اللهم آت نفسي تقواها وزكها أنت خير من زكاها أنت وليها ومولاها ربنا لا تزغ قلوبنا بعد إذ هديتنا وهب لنا من لدنك رحمة إنك أنت الوهاب اللهم مصرف القلوب صرف قلوبنا على طاعتك اللهم مصرف القلوب صرف قلوبنا على طاعتك اللهم مصرف القلوب صرف قلوبنا على طاعتك يا أول الأولين يا آخر الآخرين يا ذا القوة المتين يا رحم المساكين يا أرحم الراحمين حسبنا الله ونعم الوكيل اللهم إنا نجعلك في نحورهم ونعوذ بك من شرورهم اللهم منزل الكتاب سريع الحساب اهزم الأحزاب اللهم اهزمهم وزلزلهم آمين يا أرحم الراحمين. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Alhamdulillah, by the grace and tawfiq of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, today we are going to talk about ayah number 149, 150 and 151 from Surah Aal-e-Imran, the third surah of the Quran. So we will go over the word by word meaning and recitation first. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم.
يا أيها الذين آمنوا إن تطيعوا الذين كفروا يردوكم على أعقابكم فتنقلبوا خاسرين.
Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu. So this phrase we've seen it a few times before. Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu. O you. Ya ayyuha. O you. Alladhina. Those who. Amanu. Those who have believed. O you. Those who have believed. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is addressing me and you directly. O you who believe. In tuti'u. If you obey. If you do the it'at. If you obey. So in if tuti'u. You obey. Alladina, those who kafaru, those who have disbelieved. If you obey those or if you follow those who disbelieved, who are disbelievers, yaruddukum, ra, dal, and dal. Yarudduhum, to turn back on something. Ala, on, aqabikum, kum, for all of you. And aqab is the plural for a heel, the foot, the heel of the foot, right? Ala aqabikum, upon your heels, right? So it's an expression, even it's used in a different languages like English as well, to turn back on your heels, meaning to turn away from something or to turn, basically a 180-degree turn, to move away from something. So they will turn you back on your heels. Fatanqalibu, then you will turn back. And qaf, lam, and ba, qalb. Like even our hearts, the same words are used for heart, qalb. And why is that used for the heart? Because our heart constantly turns. Even physically, our heart just always move in a motion. It's always pumping. We have life until the heart is pumping, right? Like, the heart is always moving. And even spiritually, or even our spiritual heart, that moves. Like sometimes we feel more attached to somebody, some person. Sometimes we feel less attached to somebody. It moves. Our feelings change over a period of time. Fatanqalibu, then you will. So the literal meaning of qalb is something that changes, right? And here fatanqalibu, then you will turn back, meaning when you turn back on your heels, then you will turn back khasirin, being losers, as losers, right? Khasara is a loss of something, like a huge loss about something. So here Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying, oh, you who believe, if you obey or if you follow those who disbelieve, they will make you turn back on your heels and you shall turn into losers. Ma'adallah, may Allah protect us from such a fate. Then ayah number 150. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim.
بل الله مولاكم وهو خير الناصرين.
So bal, no. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Mawlakum, is your protector. So bal is no, but bal is used like when you are negating something and saying no, instead it is this, not this, but this, right? So it's not like this, rather it is like this, right? So bal is used, bala or bal, when we see in the Quran, in Arabic language, it's usually used in that sense. So sometimes in translation, it might seem like a lot of words have a similar meaning, but there's a different um, flavor to all of them. There's something more about each one of them, and there's a reason why one particular word is more befitting. So balillahu, no, rather Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is maulakum, is your protector. He is your maula. Wahua, and he khairun nasirin. He is the best, khair, the best of an-nasirin, those who are the helpers. So nasara is a nasara. There are a lot of words for help as well, but nasir is someone who is a helper, but who helps in a very practical way, like in a way that is actually beneficial, and also helps when it's really needed. Right, so that he's the best of those who. So a lot of things or people might leave us at the time when we really need help, but a nasir is someone who would help when the help is really needed, and when the help is like first, the help is a lot of help, it's at the time when it's needed, and it is in a very practical and help, it actually helps basically. So sometimes some people might be trying to help another person, but it doesn't really do anything, right? But this help, when Nasir is a kind of when a Nasir gives a help, is a kind of help that actually makes a difference. It's very practical in that sense. Right? So in this ayah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying, instead, Allah is your Lord, and He is the best of helpers. And we'll see the connection between the ayat when we talk in a bit more detail. Then ayah number 151. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim.
سنلقي في قلوب الذين كفروا الرعب بما أشركوا بالله ما لم ينزل به سلطانا ومأواهم النار وبئس مثوى الظالمين.
Sanulki, and we will cast. Um, Fi qulubi, in the hearts, alladhina, of those who kafaru, disbelieve. So, and we will soon, seen here refers to something like we will soon do this, right? So sanulki, noon is for we, and we here is a royal we referring to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Sanulki, we will cast in the hearts, fi in kulub, in the hearts, meaning the plural. Qalb is one heart, kulub is plural, multiple hearts. Alladina, of those who kafaru, disbelieve. Ar-ru'ba. Ru'ba is a terror, a fear of somebody because of awe of somebody, like a lot of awe of somebody, and because of that you have that fear, that terror, that like, how can I, like, oh no, I can't do this for this person, like this person is too big, or this. So that kind of a terror about somebody else, a robe, like even in Urdu we say rob, like some to have the robe of somebody. So it's a similar word in Arabic. So rob, to have the terror of somebody. Bima ashraku. And why will Allah Ta'ala put terror in the hearts of those who disbelieve? Bima, because of ashraku, they associated partners, they did shirk billah, with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Ma'lam, with what he had not. Yunazzil, he sent down, he did not send down, bihi, about it, sultanan, any authority. Meaning for the shirk that they are doing, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala did not send any authority for the shirk that they were engaged in. Wa ma'wahum, and their refuge is annar, the fire. Like uh, when somebody's refuge is the fire, then they have no refuge from the fire itself, right? So it's a very strong a strong phrase. وَمَأْوَاهُمْ النَّارِ, and their refuge will be the fire. وَبِئْسَ, and
Okay, come
how
on.
wretched, how bad is mathwa dhalimin, is the abode. Mathwa is like the abode, the place to stay of adh-dhalimin, those who are the zalim, those who are the people who have done dhulm. Right. So here Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying in this ayah, we shall put awe in the hearts of those who disbelieve, since they have associated with Allah something that for which He has not sent any authority. There is no authority anywhere. Their ultimate place is the fire, and evil is the abode of the unjust. Okay, so inshallah we'll talk in a bit more detail. So ayah number 149, 150, and 151. So In this passage, what we are going to learn today in this passage is the commentary is continuing from the Battle of Uhud, and Allah Subhanahu wa Taala is telling us again. We are continuing on the commentary of the weakness of the different kinds of weaknesses of Muslims that have come forward because of the Battle of Uhud. Through the Battle of Uhud, there are different kinds of weaknesses that have come forward. So the Quran is examining these weaknesses one by one, and it brings out the inner core of these weaknesses. What is the core of these weaknesses? Why, what is the base? Where are they coming from? And Allah Subhanahu wa Taala knows where anything is coming from. He knows deep, deep in the hearts. Sometimes that we ourselves don't know, right? So He tells us the inner core of where this weakness is stemming from, and he's also teaching us, as believers, he's teaching us Muslims how to overcome and get rid of those weaknesses. So that's we are going to, through the historical context, through what happened and the time when these ayat were revealed, what were the sahabas going through and what was the lesson for them. Through that, we are going to learn for ourselves different kind of weaknesses that might come in us individually or even as a group, as an ummah, and what is the reason for them, where are they coming from, how do these weaknesses play up, and then how are we going to overcome and get rid of them. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is going to teach us all of that very beautifully since these ayat. And when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying, Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu, O you who believe, then in this, all the people of Iman comes. Like people who are of very strong Iman come in this as well, and people who are of the weak Iman, like me and you, we come here as well. Like the people who are building up our Iman, the people who are in need of a lot of help of Iman. So we people like me, we are here as well. We are included in this as well, right? So it is like, they say that a mother does not leave any of her child. Like, for example, if she's going somewhere when she has a lot of young children, she's taking all the children. Maybe one child is like closer to her heart a little bit, but when she goes, she will take all of her children. She'll drag all her children with her. She doesn't leave anybody, right? And they say that the sun, it does not forget a village just because it's small, right? And it is so beautiful. And these are just examples from the creation of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. There's no example for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, but He loves each one of us so much that no matter how much iman we have or how strong or how weak iman we have, as long as we are Muslims, as long as we are, first of all, as human beings, he loves us, all of us, whether we are believers or non-believers. But when we have um, taken our shahada, when we have become Muslims, and we might have been become Muslims 2 minutes before, or we might have been Muslims since the time we were born, doesn't matter. We are all included in that. So when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying, Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu, it's like a direct call to me and you, like Allah Ta'ala is talking to me and you directly. And it's a time of a huge honor and happiness that, Ya Allah, you're talking to me. You're addressing me, the creator of the heavens and the earth, the creator of everything that exists. He is addressing me directly. So it's a cause to pay a bit more attention. Like we pay attention to the whole of Quran, but when we hear Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu, it's time to stand up and say, Yeah, Naam Ya Rab, yeah, yes, my Lord, I'm here. Labbaik, Allahumma labbaik. Like I'm here, Ya Rab. What are you going to teach me? I'm ready for it. Right. So we listen with that. Like no matter where we are in our iman and everything, it is for all of us. We don't feel embarrassed. We don't feel while coming to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Ya Allah, what do I have? I have so little, or I don't know so much, or whatever. Like we can put all of that aside. Right. So now we come to the context of what's happening at that time. Right. In Uhud, we've seen a few things that were happening at the time of Uhud. We've seen how the hypocrites had left the army, how the Prophet ﷺ had prepared the army, how the believers went, and then some people had, earlier the Muslims were winning and everything, the battlefield, and then some people had disobeyed because of some weaknesses and love for wealth. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala talked about the love for wealth before. And then some losses happened, right? And a lot of people were martyred, right? And then the Prophet ﷺ was himself injured, and a rumor had spread that the Prophet ﷺ passed away in Uhud. And when any rumor spreads for a believing community, any kind of rumor spreads, then the people who are mischief makers, they use this as a loophole to create more mischief. This has always been the case, and this is the case now as well, right? So anytime when there is a rumor, that happens, which is supposed to feel like which is supposed to make another party look weak or something else, they blow up that rumor, and they use that rumor to create a lot of mischief, right? So such some people are always on the lookout to create mischief, to create dissension amongst Muslims, and they never let go of that opportunity as well, right? And there were a lot of people at the time of the Prophet. Some had left with Abdullah bin Ubay, obviously, and we know Uhud and Medina were not very far, right? It was it's not very far, so the word spreads, right? And also, even other than that, some people had left with Abdullah bin Ubay, but there were some people of weak iman still. There were some people of maybe some hypocrites as well. Who knows? It's still in the army, right? And so there might be some people who, on the outside, look like they're very pious. They're very religious. They're very like committed to the deen, but they might have nifaq hidden inside of them. So, and what is nifaq? Nifaq is kufr inside and portraying iman outside. But Allah Ta'ala knows what is deep inside the hearts. So Allah Ta'ala can call them. We cannot call anybody kafir when they say to us even salam. When somebody says salam to us, we treat them as if they're not just a Muslim, they're a mu'min. We treat them as a mu'min. That person has said salam, so they believe in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. They have said salam to us as another Muslim brother or sister, so we are supposed to treat them. We cannot judge anybody. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows the inside of the hearts, and He speaks from that knowledge, of course. Right? So some people have nifaq hidden inside of them. And they use this opportunities to say things like, you know what, the prophet is has passed away, he's not here anymore, then why don't you go back to your previous ways? What's the point of this anymore? you know and like it's so hard. Since the time this deen has come, there is like so many oppositions, there are so many enemies that we have made, there are so many hardships that are happening, and uh, if we turn back to our old ways, everything will be fine. Since the time this deen has come into our life, we have like we used to be together. Now see, in our family, somebody's a Muslim, somebody's not, right? And it creates so much hardships. Why to go through all this hardships? Let's just go back to the previous ways. So some people are say, and they talk as if they're well wishers. They talk as if, you know what, this is I'm your I love you so much, you know. But do you really think this Islam thing makes sense? You know, previously it was also good. We're also good. We're also like you could drink easily. You could have any relationship you want. You didn't have to think about marriage. You could like wear whatever you want. You don't have to worry about being modest. You don't have to all this like stop your daily routine so many times for this prayer thingy, and so many people are not becoming your enemies. People don't look at you funny. Like look at all this thing that is happening in your life, and how about you turn back? And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala telling us, telling the Muslims and of that time, and by extension all of us, that don't come in these. When people come and talk to you, not everybody, like they say, there's a saying that not everybody who shakes your hand is a friend, right? So when don't just fall for anybody who talks softly or gently to you, or makes it sound like they care for you, right? So be a bit more, like be a bit more, understand things a bit more, open your eyes a bit more, right? And these talks are a way to take you away from Islam. And in these ayat, Muslims have been warned about this thing that is done, and they're made aware of this, right? And the different subhanallah, Quran is such a comprehensive speech, because it's the speech of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It addresses many different situations through just a few words, many situations, many people, many things that are happening just from the same. If you look at it from different angles, we learn different things. So first of all, if you look at it, there were people who were munafiq, there were people who were hypocrites, and here Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is addressing them as kafir, because inside is kufr. Also, it tells us that sometimes nifaq can take us to the level of kufr. When we have any kind of disease, when we have any kind of illness, if we don't take care of it, if we don't understand, if we don't take care of it, then it might lead somebody to even death, right? So nifaq is a kind of nifaq, or hypocrisy, is a kind of disease of the heart, that if it is not taken, and it can impact anybody, but when it impacts, if it's not taken care of, when a person does not turn to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala back in repentance, when he doesn't keep turning to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in like, Ya Allah, I want purity, I want ikhlas, Ya Allah, grant me ikhlas, Ya Allah, make me pure, make my heart pure, all right, I want to worship you properly, and they don't protect themselves from the propaganda of other people who are pulling them towards nifaq, then what happens is it's easier to fall into that. So Allah Ta'ala is warning us about that, if we have it in ourselves, and if other people are using things to so lending support to, let's say, anti-Islam propaganda, and that we don't fall in for that. Also, another audience here is the audience of the other people of the book, meaning the Jews and the Christians of that time, that what they and other disbelievers, other people of Quraysh, who thought that now is the time, now that the Muslims are weak and everything, they have suffered this loss at Uhud, now is the time to wipe off the humiliation that we faced at Badr. The Quraysh felt that the humiliation at Badr, and the Jewish and Christian tribes were like, okay, and now they started creating doubts about the prophethood of the Prophet ﷺ. And you know what? If this was a true prophet, do you really think you would suffer all this loss, and so many people who got martyred and their bodies were butchered? Their bodies were cut, chopped off into body parts, and the kuffar were celebrating. They mutilated the bodies, and they were saying nasty things. They were doing nasty things to the bodies of dead people of yours. They didn't just kill your people. They did nasty things to the bodies of the people. Do you really think you're on the right path because of the? Do you think this is the true prophet? If this was a true prophet, would you have, would you have faced all of this? If this was the true religion, why would you be suffering so much? What is this happening? And do you really think like you had divine help of angels and everything at Badr? Because like, why did you not get it now? Right? So what's happening here? Right? So do you really have divine help? Do you really think it's the true religion? And so, what they're doing, the Jews and the Christians of that time, they're using this opportunity to bring back the people from Christianity and Judaism who have become Muslims, right? So we know that there are a lot of people who became Muslims. There are a lot of people from even Jewish scholarship, like Abdullah bin Salam and his followers, who became Muslims right away when they met the Prophet. They're like, okay, this is the Prophet that was talked about in our Old Testaments and everything, and we came come to believe. And there were many Christians who had believed too, and they were like, okay, now is the time to put doubts, like, okay, are you sure this is the true prophet? Are you sure what you did was correct? What you were on before was not correct, right? So to bring them back to Judaism and Christianity, to the people who had become Muslim. So they were using that propaganda as well, right? So and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is telling us that showing us the truth of what is happening and everything with that, right? And some scholars also say that when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is calling the munafiq, the hypocrites, who are outside, on the outside they're acting like believers, but Allah ta'ala is calling them disbelievers, it also shows Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's displeasure with whatever they're doing. That Allah ta'ala is so displeased with what they're doing that he's not even calling them believers anymore. Right? He's separating them. O you who believe, don't follow the ways of those who disbelieve. Right? So, O you who believe, these people, then what some people are doing, this is not belief, right? And so also another section, another group of people that is being addressed is those people from Muslims who have a weak iman. Maybe they're very new Muslims. They have not understood the deen yet. They're on the path of learning and they're like a bit shaken. They're quite shaken with this. Maybe they have weak iman otherwise as well, and they need to strengthen their iman. And everybody has a different, the Prophet ﷺ told us that iman fluctuates. It goes up and down. Even at different times in our lives, we'll have different level of iman. Right? And sometimes when hardships strike, when setbacks happen, the first thought that comes to a person's mind is, why is it happening to me? Am I on the right path? And then the whispers of others, propagandas of others, and their words, it all makes an impact. Shaitan uses this for waswasa as well, right? So even today we see how many people walk away from Islam saying, if Islam was really the truth, why did Allah make me go through so since I became a Muslim? I'm going through this. After I became Muslim, why didn't life just become good for me? Why did I have to go through this hardship and sickness or poverty or trouble from other people? Why am I going through this? So if I'm going through all of this, are you sure this is the right path? Am I on the right path? Right? So one thing to realize here is that ups and downs happen for everybody. not just believers, right? Ups and downs happen for everybody in life, right? Also, if we look at, if our way of looking at Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in this ayah is also redefining success and failure for us. Because Allah ta'ala is telling, if you turn back, then you will turn back as losers. Then you will be losers. So what does loss and success mean actually? Right? So if you look at this world, if you look at just the success of this world, then the Pharaoh of the world, the Nimrud of the world, the oppressors of this world, they seem to have a good life. They're killing people, they are torturing people, they're raping, they're stealing stuff and everything from people, and yet they seem to be having a good life. Like nobody is holding them accountable. They still walk. They're still driving the best of cars. They're living in the best of houses. They have like all the luxuries and servants and money and power, and the powers of the world seem to be bowing to them. And so, what is happening, right? What is um, success and what is failure? Allah Subhanahu wa Taala will redefine that for us in this ayah, right? So Allah Ta'ala is telling us that. That when we assess this, am I on the right path, then what we are learning here is that yes, you are on the right path, because this deen actually is the deen of right path. That is the thing that we keep asking Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Ihdina siratal mustaqim. In surah Fatiha, right away, the first dua that we make is that ya Allah, guide us to the straight path, right? But perhaps, yes, we do check ourselves. If something happens, we do check ourselves, but we do check ourselves in the sense that, am I making a mistake? Am I walking properly on the path, right? I am on the right path, but perhaps I'm not walking properly, right? So if we look at the Muslims of that time, then some had disobeyed the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Some had left with 300 of them had left with Ibn Ubay. They had been convinced by the smooth talk of Ibn Ubay. Why are we even here and fighting this cause and everything? It's a lost cause, and we're going to get hurt and everything, and we have to go protect our homes back there and this and that. Like some people can become very convincing even when they're saying the wrong thing, right? Some people have the gift of gab, like they say, right? Some of the Muslims had become really disheartened by the loss of wealth, the loss of life, and the loss of things. And some people had displayed a love of wealth even. A weak resolve was also there, right? So what are the mistakes that I'm doing on the path? So yes, we do assess ourselves all the time. We want to be better Muslims, and we want to do better as Muslims, but we don't let shaitan, we don't let propaganda put doubts in our head, in our heart, right? Because what we have to understand in this deen is this is something really precious. The deen, whether we realize it yet or not, our deen is really, really precious, and it is also very delicate. Like even the Prophet ﷺ, all the time he would make dua, Ya muqallib al-qulub, thabbit qalbi ala dinik. O turner of hearts, keep my heart steadfast upon your deen. He was the best of creation. He had the most knowledge about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He was the most fearing of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Yet he's always asking Allah Ta'ala to keep his heart firm on the deen. So where does that leave me and you? Right? So what Allah Ta'ala is saying is that this this holding on to the deen, it can no matter how much you are into the deen, how long you have been in the deen, how much you have done for the deen, it can be like it can be you can lose it. It is possible, like, and it just takes a small deviation. If there's a path, if you there's a small deviation, if you keep walking on a very small angle deviation, eventually the distance will keep increasing, right? So all the success and achievements of the past can be turned into distress and deprivation for you. So the Muslims are being aware to know the difference, first of all, between a friend and an enemy, right? Not everybody who comes to you is your friend, right? And the disbelievers are not your well-wishers, and they're not your friends. They're not your guardians. They're not your supporters in difficulties. Don't be influenced by propaganda, and don't think that you don't want trouble anymore. So let go of Islam, right? And let us go to, some of them had started saying that maybe we should go to Ibn Ubay and ask him to make negotiations with the Quraysh and raise a white flag and say, you know what, like we'll come to you and everything, and we will, like, we don't want all this fight and everything, and we don't. So we just like, let's just leave everything and just make peace with them, and just let go of everything. And also we have to realize that there's a lot of grieving happening in different families in Medina now. More than 70, like around 70 people have been killed. So there are a lot of grieving happening in these families. And when there's grieving happening, somebody has passed away, people come to meet. And when people come to meet, they say things, and the person who is grieving, they usually listen to those things, right? Like they're like they're in pain, they're grieving, so people say things. And then so these people are saying these things to people who they're going to meet people and saying, see, we came back, we didn't stay with the with the whole thing, we were amongst those 300 that came back, and see, we are safe now. If your husband, if your father, if your brother had listened to us, he would be alive today, right? So they're saying things like that, which are more and more hurtful, but it's creating doubts in the hearts of people, right? So they're trying that. What Allah Ta'ala is saying is beware of such things when people do that. It also tells us how much pressure the Muslims were in. One, there is shaitan who's doing waswasa. There is our own nafs who's doing who has its own tricks and things. There's pressure from the outside by security threat from the Quraysh, who's like they can attack anytime again. There on the inside, there are hypocrites who are trying to harm the Muslims. There is propaganda going on by the Jews and the Christians. There is family members inside who are maybe some of them who are not Muslims, who keep calling back to old culture, who keep calling back to, you know what, like this idol, you know what, are you sure this idol, that worship is so good, it gives so much thing and everything. So the Muslims are being pulled from all sides to leave the religion, and especially at a time when they're injured, when they're in a position of they're a weak minority, right? And that's what happens when the religion is not very popular and it is considered sometimes like weird, and people have suffered losses. Then you're pressured to denounce everything. You're pressured to denounce everything and to that is related to Islam, and to prove your loyalty to another nation. If you go back to another group or nation and you seek help from them who are trying to put doubts in your head about Islam, then when you go to them, what Allah Ta'ala is telling us is, yaruddukum ala aqabikum. They will turn you away, like they will turn you on your heels. Meaning, if you go to them now, let's imagine if somebody goes to Abu Sufyan, somebody was from Mecca, they were from the Quraysh, they became Muslims, they suffered a lot in Mecca, then they came as a muhajir to they did the migration to Medina because to protect their faith. And now the battle of Badr happened, Uhud happened, and let's say now they hypothetically, if they go back to Abu Sufyan and say, you know what, we were wrong, and like, can you give us protection? Can you, like, okay, we don't want to fight with you. We are like thing and everything. Now, what will we can imagine what would Abu Sufyan say? Okay, but you have been our enemies for so long and everything, so you have to prove your loyalty now. So maybe I don't want to hear this la ilaha illallah ever again. Astaghfirullah. He might say something like that. Or you have to worship these idols to show me that, okay, you are really with us. Are you sure? Or drink some alcohol, sit in front of me and drink some alcohol so I can be sure that you're not with them anymore and you're really like, you really mean it, that you are with me. Or if somebody goes to, let's say, follows the way of hypocrites. And so what do hypocrites do? Like, the thing with hypocrites is that they want to give up they want to have the parts of religion that benefit them, but they want to give up the parts of the religion that they find annoying or uncomfortable, right? Or in which they have to give any kind of sacrifices. So we have to understand there's a difference between sin and hypocrisy. Each one of us is a sinner. So we all make mistakes, right? We all make mistakes. We all have weaknesses and strengths of different kinds and everything. And that's sinning, and that happens to all of us, and none of us is immune from that. But hypocrisy means intentionally compromising on religion and saying, okay, this is like this is like, this doesn't make sense to me, I'm not going to follow this, I'm going to follow this, and this makes more sense, and then convincing people to follow that, and kind of making, is it really like this? I don't think it is like this. So what Allah Ta'ala is teaching us, his deen is timeless and not subjective. Like for hypocrite, for those who have hypocrisy, the morality is subjective for them. Whatever's going on in the society, whatever keeps them up with the Joneses, they just want to do that, right? And if what Allah Ta'ala teaching us is, if you give them authority over yourself, rather than Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, right? When we become a Muslim, we give authority over ourselves to Allah. We are saying, oh God, you created me. You are the one who's taking care of me. You are the one who's given me all the relationships and everything I have, and or everything. So you have authority over me. As opposed to this, when somebody takes that authority and gives it to other people, then what those people are going to do is you're handing authority over yourselves to somebody else, and they will then turn you. They will turn you, and they will turn you back to jahalat that you came out from, right? That your life was all about tribalism. Your life was all about you had mutual enmities against each other and everything. Islam made you brothers and sisters. You didn't know each other, and Islam brought you together and everything. And if you go back to your previous ways, then it will split you up again, right? So what we are learning here is that, and even today, when someone comes close to Quran, they become busy because they're studying, they're doing things, they're not available for others all the time, right? And some other people in their life, they might develop some kind of envy, and why are they not getting enough time or attention from you, or you used to do so much for them and everything, right? And they might have those emotions, and they might start pulling you away from it, right? Okay, why are you spending so much time at this? Like, you don't have to spend so much time. Allah Ta'ala doesn't want you to spend so much time on this, right? So so we are learning a lot of things here, and what we are learning is, most importantly, is that we should keep checking ourselves, right? It is a big rahmah of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala when we get the tawfiq to do good deeds, when we get the divine inspiration and the opportunity to do good deeds, to come to the deen first of all, and then to do all the good deeds. And when this tawfiq is taken away from us, that's a big loss, right? So and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives opportunities to different people, and when people do not appreciate those opportunities, then they lose their opportunities at times, right? So Allah ta'ala is telling us that he's teaching us to appreciate the opportunities of the religion that he has given to us, and despite the hardships that we go through, despite the hardships that we see other people in our deen go through, our brothers and sisters in Islam go through, maybe near us or maybe at other parts of the world, they go through such hardships that we are like, Ya Allah, if I was in their place, I would have broken down. I don't know how I would have handled that. Ya Allah, I don't know what. Then Allah Ta'ala has given us the opportunity to make dua for them. Allah Ta'ala has given us the opportunity to do other things for them, whatever we can do, right? So, so we take we thank Allah Ta'ala for those opportunities, and and every time, in every period of time, in every generation, the hands of kufr sometimes seem very strong. And when it seems very strong, when it's that phase going on in the generation of people and everything, when the forces of kufr seem very strong, then we should know it is a test, right? And because at that time, people might feel that if we come to the deen totally, then our life will become so hard, right? But that's the test. Am I going to come to the deen? Am I going to have the belief in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? Am I going to come to the truth when I've understood that this is the truth, right? Um, so even now, we know that some people, when we call them to Islam, they say, you know what, if I actually accept this, my society is not going to be that pleased with me, the people around me are not going to get pleased with me, and what will happen to me? The people, my friends, are not going to be my friends anymore. My family wouldn't have that kind of a connection anymore. What's going to happen, right? And I have to listen to so many things from people. But Allah Ta'ala is teaching us to rather listen to Allah, what Allah teaches you very carefully, right? And then when you listen to what Allah Ta'ala teaches you very carefully, then what other people are saying to you, it will have less and less and less impact, right? People's talks, people's words, people's like accusations, people's propagandas, they have a lot of impact on someone when the inside is weak, right? So if it is making a lot of impact on us, then we should feel how to strengthen ourselves, how to strengthen our deen. And the best way is obviously the word of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, to listen carefully, to read carefully, to try to study carefully the word of God. What is God teaching me? Because why could they not shake, why couldn't they not dissuade people like Umar and Abu Bakr from the deen? Because they were firm, right? May Allah Ta'ala make all of us firm, right? So even today, when we know what our deen is, when we understand it well, and when we are strong in our deen, when we understand it, then we won't be bothered by propaganda, then we will be strong, right? So what and like what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is doing is like He's redefining the loss and victory for us. Even if somebody gets the whole of this world, but then gets Jahannam. Like even if somebody like Pharaoh, somebody like the modern pharaohs of today, like they might get everything in this world. The laws might just keep talking, 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 but not do anything to them, not hold them accountable, not punish them for that. And it seems like they're just enjoying their life and everything. If they do it throughout their life, but they get Jahannam after, then that's a big loss, right? So the success is not money, it's not power, it's not a perfect body figure, or like perfectly built up muscles, or perfectly like the perfect curves or something, or influence, or the number of following that we have, or to be a really great influencer, or to have a lot of fame, or to win in battlefield, or to have safety and acceptance from people around and everything. All of these are not success. Allah Ta'ala is teaching us these are not success. But what is success? Right? If you get any of or all of these things by turning away from the deen, then it is not success. Then you will actually be losers despite having all these things that you look up to as success. But those are not success. Rather, what is success? Success is, where do you take your influence from? Who turns you? When you on whose command, on whose thing do you turn? Who are you following? Right? Do you turn on like your habits, your things, and whatever you're doing based on what Allah Ta'ala teaches you, what Allah Ta'ala wants from you, or based on what people would want for you, to fit in with people, to assimilate with people? Which direction do you turn? Everyone has a direction that they turn to. So what is your direction? Right? So Allah Ta'ala is teaching us that to do our own assessment, and before be first of all truthful to ourselves, and then be firm in our deen. That and then what will help us be firm in the deen? And Allah Ta'ala tells us that in the right next ayah, that what because obviously when people are running away from us, when we have all this pressure, all this weakness, all these hardships, all this waswasa, all this propaganda, so much is going on, so much pressure is there, and we are feeling weak, we are feeling like Ya Allah, what is going to happen? I don't want to leave this teen. I want to stay firm on this teen and everything. But Ya Allah, who will help me? What is going to happen to me? Right? And what is going to happen to our brothers and sisters? Ya Allah, there is no help for them. What is going to happen? There is no help for, sometimes it feels there is no help for me. What is going to happen? Then Allah Ta'ala tells us, Balillahu maulakum. No, Allah is your protector. Allah is your Lord. And He is the best of helpers. وَهُوَ خَيْرُ النَّاصِرِينَ. You cannot find any helper anywhere who's better helper than Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It is not possible, right? Because some people were listening to the kuffar, some people were listening to disbelievers, as they felt that they will be our helpers, that we will be accepted by them, or now we won't be having to go to battle with them, or let's make alliances with them. Let's let them be our allies, because if they're our allies, then they won't hurt us. Like, we might be from amongst the Muslims, but if we make alliances with them, then we are safe. Then we are not the ones who are going to be. So let's keep pleasing them, right? And to please them, we keep doing things and everything, because they will help us, because they will give us money, they will give us these trade routes, they will give us these things, and we will be more accepted in the more modern world. And we keep compromising in our deen. We keep having these like things to do which might not seem Islam, which might not be Islamic, but you know what, it makes us like look so good, and it makes us like this. And so what is the purpose, what is the goal behind this? That you know what, these people were so strong, because when we are following their way, they will be our helpers, right? So that's what gets people sometimes. But Allah Ta'ala is saying, no, those people are not your helpers. Understand, they are not your helpers. Allah is your Mawla. Allah is your helper. Allah is your caretaker, right? And Allah, it's only Allah who's your Mawla, right? Why do you look at all these people? Why do you look at all other creation? Why are you looking at anybody else? Call upon Allah alone for help and guidance, right? And why are you thinking that that disobedience of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, or doing things which makes Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala angry, you keep doing those things, and by doing those things you will become more popular and more famous or more powerful, and you'll get more happiness in life, you'll get more success in life? Do you really think that? Yes, you might seem to the world that you're doing all of this, but do you really think that you will be successful if you do that? So Allah Ta'ala is teaching us that just think, apni, like, think about. So Quran teaches us to think through the Quran. Like, and when we start to think through the Quran, then it's like all the other glasses with go away, and we get the pure eyesight. Like everything with muddy windshield and like think everything, all the dust, everything goes away when we start to see clearly when we think through the Quran. So the Quran teaches us to think clearly. No, understand, Allah is your Mawla, right? And what kind of a Mawla is he? What kind of a protector is he? That he is the kind of a Mawla who never, ever, ever leaves his people. He never leaves them without help. You just don't know what's the kind of help they're getting. You don't see that help. You don't understand that help. Yeah, but they are getting help. You don't know, right? He is khairun nasirin. Khairun nasirin, right? He helps when the help is really needed. His help is the most practical. His help is like in abundance, right? His help comes when everybody else will leave you, but he will not leave you. He will not leave you. He is your Mawla. He will not leave you. But you don't leave him. If you leave him, then you have left that stronghold, right? If you hold on, even in Surah Al-Baqarah, we learned after Ayat Al-Kursi, we learned that when we hold on, when we leave the Taghut and hold on tight, then who is the one who's taking care of us? Al-Hayyul Qayyum, the living, the ever living. Anything that we hold on to, they themselves are weak. They themselves will die at some point. I don't know A'udhu Billah, if somebody leaves the deen for the sake of pleasing some political leader or some great power of today, who knows, by tomorrow that person might be dead. For whose sake that person is doing things to displease Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, right? So who knows? Allah ta'ala knows. We don't know. We don't know, right? And there's an incident after the Battle of Uhud, that what happened is, after the Battle of Uhud finished and the ground was quiet now, then what happened was that Abu Sufyan, he climbed on the mountain of Uhud, and we know that the Prophet ﷺ and Abu Bakr and Umar, like they were all like, they were all in behind, like in the hiding in a sort of a place and everything. So he couldn't see any of them. So he was like, okay, are they alive? Are they dead and everything? So he climbed a mountain. Abu Sufyan, who was the leader of the Quraysh, the enemy's army, he climbed up and he shouted from there, is Muhammad among you? And nobody responded, right? The Prophet ﷺ stayed quiet and he told the people to stay quiet as well, right? And then he shouted again, is Abu Bakr, the son of Abu Quhafa, among you? And once more, there was silence. Then he said, the third time, is Umar bin Khattab among you? And this time also, everybody stayed silent and nobody answered him, because the Prophet ﷺ had told them to stay silent, right? And this silence satisfied him, right, Abu Sufyan. And then he shouted, he became really happy and he shouted, we have finally been relieved of those three. And then, hearing these words, Umar radiallahu anhu, he couldn't control himself, and he said, O enemy of Allah, all whom you named are alive, and Allah Almighty has more disgrace in store for you. And then Abu Sufyan said, your slain have been mutilated. And then he said, because we know, and then he said, Abu Sufyan said, but I didn't order it. I just wanted to know that I didn't ask some people in my army who did that to mutilate the dead bodies. I didn't ask them to do it, but I don't dislike it either, that it was done. And then so I'm not sorry for it, and I didn't ask them to do it, but I'm not sorry for it either. Basically, he's saying. And then he said, glory be to Hubal. And Hubal was one of their idols that they used to worship, right? So he said, glory be to Hubal. And then when he said this, then the Prophet ﷺ said, okay, now you need to reply. He asked the Sahabas to reply, and they asked, Ya Rasulullah, because now it was not about, the Prophet ﷺ was not about his own personal like reply about like me, and like he's talking about me, I'm dead, reply to him. No. But when it was about Allah, the Prophet ﷺ said, no, now you need to reply. And the Sahaba asked, like, Ya Rasulullah, what should we reply? And on his guidance, they replied that, instructing them to say, when he said, glory to Hubal, no, Allah is the highest. He is the most majestic. And then Abu Sufyan shouted back, we have Uzza, which was another of their idol, while you have no one. Like you don't have any idols. We have Uzza, we have such big idols, huge idols. They are like, we have such thing and everything. You have no one. And the Prophet ﷺ told them, and they answered, no, rather Allah is our Lord. Walillahu maulakum. No, but Allah is our Lord, and you have no one. Like all these are nothing. You have no one. And then Abu Sufyan reminded the Muslims of their loss and saying, he basically was after any like sports tournaments or after every battle or something, they have this trash talk, right? The people going to the trash talk, and he's like, "What a glorious deed we have wrought! This is our revenge for Badr. So we have like taken our revenge for Badr now, and victory in war goes by turns, and one wins today and the other tomorrow. So we have even the score basically. Like, okay, we got you back, and we got you bad. So yes, this is for that. So we've got you now and everything. And so it's equal now. So basically saying we're equal now. And Umar radiallahu replied on this one that no, the scores are certainly not even. Why are they not even? Because our dead have gone to paradise while yours have gone to hell, right? And Abu Sufyan was taken aback at what Umar had said. And then he said that you people consider it true. And if you people consider it so, and if it was true, if what you're saying is true, then we are the losers then. If what you're saying is true, because he hadn't believed yet, and we know that later on in the Sirah, he became Muslims. He became a Muslim much later, but not right now, right? So uh, and then Abu Sufyan called Umar closer and asked, Umar, I ask you in the name of Allah, if we have killed Muhammad, is Muhammad dead? And Umar swore, by Allah, this is not true. And he's listening to what you say. Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam is very much alive, right? And then Abu Sufyan was convinced about the truth from Umar's words, and he complimented, he said back to the enemy that to me, he complimented to basically Umar, that to me, you're more truthful and upright than Ibn Kama. And with this parting words, he said, he issued like a challenge. He said, okay, we shall meet again at Badr next year. And at this, on the Prophet ﷺ's instruction, the companions confirmed that yes, this is an appointment between us. That yes, we will meet at Badr next year. But we know from the Sirah that the Muslims went, but the Quraysh they never turned up for this. Right. So, but these are the words that were used as well. Balillahu maulakum. But Allah is our Mawla, while you have no one, right? So, like people sometimes they have these false idols, false things that they rely on, people that they rely on, idols that they rely on, things that they rely on, right? And they give them so much honor and dignity, but rather, like we rely on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So should we not have that kind of like happiness and the like that comfort in knowing that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is our Mawla. People can take comfort from things which are not even real, while Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is real, right? So any time when we are going through any kind of hardships or any time or even in good times, whether it's good times or not so good times, according to our own perspective, right? And again, perspective can be a big thing. Somebody who is uh, having a lot of luxuries in life, and then they are not understanding the deen of Allah. Somebody who even understands Arabic a lot. There are people who understand Arabic really, really well. They have read the Quran multiple times. They're teaching the Quran multiple times, but they're not Muslims. Like their hearts are closed. So, who to us is more of a loser? Is it that person or another person whose all their family members were killed, and that person is still saying Alhamdulillah? All praise be to Allah. There is some goodness in this that I didn't see, but Ya Allah, I know my family members who've gone through this pain of death and they were killed. I know that they are with you and they are having they all their troubles are now done. I know they're with you and they are in the best of places, and I know that inshallah you're pleased with them. So what could be the more pleasing? And I am pleased with that. If you are pleased with them, even though I have lost them, I know that they are in the best company now. I know that they are with you. I have full yaqeen in that. So who is if we compare these two people, like one person who seems to be living in a lot of luxury and everything, another who has lost everything, lost all the money, all the house, all the their job, their like family members, everything, and yet their faith is so strong. Who is the real loser and who is the real victorious person? So Allah Ta'ala is teaching us that Allah is your Mawla. Understand that Allah is your Mawla, right? And He is the best of the ones who help. That's why the dua that the Prophet ﷺ recommended for us to make a lot. And seven times at least in the morning time and seven times in the evening, and generally a lot as well, is the last ayah from Surah Al-Tawbah. Hasbi Allahu la ilaha illa huwa alayhi tawakkaltu wa huwa rabbul arshil azim. Hasbi Allah, I rely on you, Allah. La ilaha illa huwa. There is no God except you. Alayhi tawakkaltu. Upon you I have relied, O Allah. Wa huwa rabbul arshil azim. While He is the Rabb. He is the owner. He is the creator. He is the caretaker of the arshil azim. The the big throne. So he owns everything. So why do I need to be the beggar for this to this one and that one? Rather, I should go to Him alone, right? And the one who has made Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala their Mawla, they don't need to make anybody else Mawla. We can stop having expectations from everyone else because we have expectations only from Allah. When we say Allahu Mawlana, Allah is my Mawla, right? When we say in Surah Al-Baqarah, the last ayah of Surah Baqarah, when we make the dua and we say, Anta Maulana, you are our Mawla, Ya Allah. You are our Mawla. This gives so much peace to the heart because we know that we are not alone. And who is with me when I'm saying Allahu Maulana? Who is with us when we are saying Allahu Maulana, despite whatever we might be facing individually or collectively, as a group, as an ummah, as a community, whatever we are facing, we know that Allah is our Mawla and He is Rabbil Alameen. He is the Rabb of all the worlds. And when He is with us, when He is with me, then what do I need to be afraid of, right? When the close relationship with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is something that only a believer has. Only a believer has. Because then the believer has the sight only on Allah. When that believer begs, he begs only from Allah. He wants his or her biggest dua is, Ya Allah, don't make me dependent on anybody except you. I have left everybody. I have left everybody and made you my Mawla. Ya Allah, you don't leave me, please. Ya Allah, you don't leave me. Ya Hayyu Ya Qayyumu bi rahmatika astaghith. Aslih li sha'ni kullah wa la takilni ila nafsi tarfat ayn. Ya Allah, you are the living. You are the one who takes care, who keeps things upright. Ya Allah, you don't leave me, Ya Allah. Don't leave me even for the blink of an eye. I have left everyone for you, Ya Allah. You don't leave me. I need you, Ya Allah. Don't leave me. And no one can defeat someone whose helper is Allah. No matter what is done to them, when they have made Allah their helper, then nobody can defeat their spirit. Nobody can defeat their spirit. And that angers the disbelievers even more. When they see that spirit that they cannot defeat, that angers them, right? So after Uhud, when the disbelievers left the battlefield, what happened was they were on the way back to Mecca. And then the thought came to them, what a wretched thing we have done. We fought and we killed so many of them. And now there were only few of them left and remained. And then we left them. We should have like used this opportunity to like just get rid of all of them. So they thought the troops of Abu Sufyan, they thought, let's go back and attack them. Let's just exterminate them, right? And they even came back a little bit. But then what happened? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala put in their hearts uh, an awe of the Prophet, a terror for the believers. They were like, they got scared. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the one who controls the hearts, right? They got scared and they didn't want to risk losing the little victory that they had seen to God. So Allah ta'ala put fear in their hearts and they abandoned their intention, right? And then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala revealed the next ayah, that we will cast in the hearts of those who disbelieve terror because they associated partners with Allah. And this association, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has not sent down any authority for this association. There is no authority. Even when you look around the universe, when you look on any of the divine books, any of the true portions from the divine books, or you look at the universe around you, there is no authority, there is no proof for multiple gods. There is no proof for anybody who is a sharik, anybody who is a partner with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The biggest dhulm actually is shirk, right? And the biggest truth of this world, the biggest purposeful thing of this world is the tawheed, that there is no God but Allah, la ilaha illallah, Muhammadur Rasulullah. That's why there is so much reward for somebody when somebody comes to Islam. When they say La ilaha illallah Muhammadur Rasulullah, all their previous sins are erased. All of them are erased. And all their good deeds are intact. Why so much reward for this? Because that's the biggest truth. They have affirmed the biggest truth of the world, right? And they have rejected the biggest lies of the world, the biggest dhulm of the world. They've come away from the biggest dhulm. Right. So, what did Abu Sufyan and the troops do at that time? So instead of going to attack, what they did was he bribed somebody at the place called Hamarul Asad. They reached that place and they bribed somebody. They gave somebody money to go and spread the rumor amongst the Muslims that a huge army of Quraysh is coming to attack you. They're gonna finish you because he wants to like spread this rumor to kind of like break their bones, break their sorry, break their resolve, break their like he wants to like break their hearts. He wants to like break their courage because the spirit of an enemy is the biggest thing that an enemy wants to win in a war situation, right? The spirit is more, they want to win their spirit more than anything else. They want to break their spirit more than anything else. That, put them on their knees, basically, right? But a Muslim will not bow down to anybody. You can kill them, but they won't bow down to anybody, right? So, but the intention of Abu Sufyan to spread this rumor that a huge army is on the way to attack you and just finish all of you is to break their courage, right? But what did Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala do? That Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, one, He put awe and the terror in the hearts of the disbelievers that they couldn't continue, right? And in the hearts of the believers, on the other hand, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala opened their hearts so much more that when they heard this, that an enemy is coming to attack them, and now all this tarbiyah has happened in that time. All this Allah Ta'ala is teaching them through these ayat of the Quran to be strong Muslims, to be not given to propaganda, to not give in to weaknesses, to not look at the wealth of this world, to bring back your focus, get your focus back. Why are you Muslim? Your focus is the pleasure of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Your focus is the hereafter. Your focus is to please Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Now Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has opened their hearts, and then He opened their hearts so much more that when this news came to them that the huge army is coming to attack them, that instead of being broken down, instead of losing courage, they actually became even stronger believers. And they said, Hasbunallah. Allah is enough for us. You can do whatever. Okay, whatever army, let them come. Let them do whatever. Hasbi Allah. Allah Ta'ala is enough for me. Hasbunallah. Allah is enough for us. Right? So here a mention of this awe on the disbelievers are done, and more details about this will also, we will learn this at the later time too. Right? So this is a huge rahmah of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that they were not able to attack the believers and destroy them. And in a hadith, the Prophet ﷺ tells us that, narrated by Jabir bin Abdullah in Bukhari, that the Prophet ﷺ said, I have been given 5 things which were not given to anyone else before me. So there were 5 things that the Prophet ﷺ has been given, which were not given to anyone before him, meaning any other prophet before him. Nobody was given this. These are especially only for the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. One, uh, because we know all prophets came with the same message. They were on the same akida, but there was some, and we don't make any difference between any of them. We love and we respect and we honor each one of them. We don't say that, okay, like we won't honor Jesus or we will only honor Muhammad. No, the Prophet Isa alayhi salam, or Jesus, is as much our prophet as Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Musa alayhi salam, Moses, is as much our prophet as Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. We love all of them. We believe all of them were prophets of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But we also believe Allah ta'ala gave different things to different one of them. Like He talked to Musa alayhi salam directly, to Moses directly. He gave some special gifts to Isa, to Jesus, which He did not give to other prophets. Like He could heal with His touch and everything, right? So we know about all those things. So the Prophet ﷺ were given 5 things. The Prophet Muhammad ﷺ was given 5 things which were not given to anyone else before him. One, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala made me victorious by awe, which Allah Ta'ala is talking in this ayah too. That is, He frightens the enemies of the Prophet ﷺ, even when they are in a distance of 1 month's journey, right? They're so away, and even then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala puts the awe of the Prophet ﷺ in the hearts of the disbelievers, right? The second is that the earth has been made for me a place of praying and a thing to perform tayammum, right? Therefore, any one of my followers can pray wherever the time of the prayer is, when the time of the prayer is due, right? So meaning that we can this was not there for other people. They had to play at a certain they had to pray at a certain place. We don't have to wait to be at a mosque to pray. We can pray wherever we are when the time of the prayer comes. And if there is no water, the earth, we can also use it to do tayammum, right? With the sand we can do tayammum when there is no water available, or when we are sick that using water is not advisable, then we can do tayammum and pray. It's regarded as purity. So that was not there for anybody before, any other people before. The third is the booty, or the war booty has been made halal for me, but yet it was not lawful for anyone else before me. So people before, the what used to happen was, if they got any war booty from like the enemy's side, if they got anything, they used to burn it, right? Or they used to put it at a mountain or something, and then they would pray to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and a fire would come and consume it, which was a sign that Allah Ta'ala has accepted things, and then that booty would obviously be burnt off and everything. But for the Muslims, the war booty has been made halal, right? Obviously, we're talking about legitimate war. We're not talking about official thing. We are not talking about anything that people use nowadays to do things, astaghfirullah, right? So, and also another thing is, I have been given the right of intercession on the day of resurrection. On the day of resurrection, the Prophet ﷺ will be given the right of intercession to make a case on some people's behalf, to like put in his word, basically, for some people, for whoever Allah Ta'ala will allow him to do. But he will be given this honor of being able to speak up. And the last thing, the fifth thing, is that every prophet used to be sent to his nation only, but I have been sent to all of mankind. Right? He's a prophet for all of mankind. So this rob, this awe of Allah subhanahu of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, Allah Ta'ala puts in the heart of the people. And we see this other times in the Sirah too, at the times of Hijrah, when the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam migrated from Makkah to Medina. We see that when there was a horse rider who wanted to come and kill them and then take them to get the prize which the Quraysh had put on anybody who gets Muhammad, living or dead, will get this much price for them. So he wanted that, but he could not attack. Like Allah Ta'ala put that awe. We see it at Badr, we see it at Tabuk, we see it other parts in the Sirah as well, right? And it's not just for the Prophet ﷺ, rather it is for every person even today. The more iman a person has in their hearts, the more other people will be in awe of them, actually be in awe of them. They might disclose it, they might not disclose it, not by scolding or anything, but it will be a sense of like, like this is something. Why? And why is that? Because faith is the foundation of determination and courage, right? So the morale of the faithful is always high. And this high morale creates awe in the hearts of disbelievers, right? So why is it like, yes, there are people being prosecuted all over the world. There are hardships happening all over the world. There are many portions of the places in the world that different things have happened and are happening right now as we speak. But why is the world standing up for Palestine so much, right? Why is everybody who's not even a Muslim, why are they so why is their heart uh, going out so much for Palestinians, as opposed to maybe some other places where very similar things might be happening too, right? Very similar kind of oppressions might be happening too. Why is it? Because this faith, when there is a strong faith, it creates a high morale, and that high morale creates awe in the hearts of others, and awe out of respect, out of it's out of reverence and out of respect, that kind of a thing, right? So as opposed to this, when somebody has a weak iman, when there is Islam is weak, iman is weak, then you get the rob of others on you. So as Muslims, even for us, it holds true for even us. When our iman is weak, when our Islam is weak, then the Muslims will come under the rob of disbelievers, right? When they'll come under awe of the disbelievers. And we see that happening unfortunately at many places today, right? So no matter what the level of our iman, when our iman is true, when we have true faith, true belief, right, then in front of that, kufr cannot stand for long. It's only a matter of time, right? And it's not by scolding, by like force or anything. That rob comes with love and everything, right? People don't want to make you angry. People don't want to fall in your eyes. People don't want to not be there for you. People don't want to, people don't want you to think um, badly of you, right? Like, so those things happen, right? And the Muslims, and in throughout our history, when we see our history also, we see that the times when Muslims have been really connected to this book, um, then by the rahmah of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, we had a lot of rob as well. Like there is an incident at the time when Umar radiallahu anhu was the Khalifa of the Muslims. Many years later, after the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam had passed away and everything, a person came from Sham, and he came to see Umar radiallahu anhu because he wasn't so much. He's like, I really want to see Umar, because like the emperors of the Cyrus and the Caesars and everybody's scared of this person. Like he's giving sleepless nights to everybody around the world. I want to see who this Umar is, right? He was in so much awe, and he came to see, like, okay, I want to see him, right? And when he came to Medina, he saw a person sleeping under a tree so blissfully that half of his body is now under sunshine and half of it is in shade. Like when he slept, he was obviously on in shade, but he's still sleeping, and he's not even bothered that half of his body is in sun and everything, and he's basically in a very modest and everything. He's just sleeping carefree, right? And he's like, and then he came to know this is Umar, and he's like, he was so surprised. He's like, the person who has like the big emperors of the world with such huge empires, giving them sleepless nights because of his terror, they are not able to sleep. And this one, he's like such a modest one. He doesn't have that much armies, he doesn't have that much resources, and yet he's sleeping easily. Where is this rob coming from? Where is this, like, how are they afraid of him and he's not afraid of them, right? Right. So, and then he said that, Ya Umar, you are sleeping so peacefully because you are upon Adal and Insaf. You're just leader, right? You have established justice. And the big powers, they are afraid, even though they have so much power, even though they're getting more and more power, it seems like they're getting powerful or something. They are afraid of you because they're doing oppression, because they're doing dhulm, because they're doing wrong. That's why they're scared, right? So a Muslim's personality, a true Muslim will only be just. A true Muslim will only be good to people around, has an awe. His personality has an awe, and enemies used to be scared to attack them, right? May Allah Ta'ala grant us that awe once more, right? And so and there are many other incidents like that that have happened in the Islamic history too, and we can see that we have seen ups and downs in the time, but all the times that we have been connected more to Allah Subhanahu wa Taala and His Deen and His Book, we have seen that Allah Subhanahu wa Taala puts the awe in the hearts of the disbelievers, right? And why does the awe go away? Why does um, why is it all put in the hearts of others? Because they do the shirk of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Because shirk, what does that do? Shirk makes the heart weak, right? Shirk is like, like, for example, and again, it's a very silly example, but just to understand, what cholesterol and blood pressure and all this will do to the heart? They'll make it weak, right? And a mushrik, a person who does shirk, they are afraid. They're actually afraid inside. They're afraid of every little thing, like every tree moving, every leaf, anybody who does a bad dua against them, any superstition. They are very, like, they're very superstitious in nature. They are very like, they have a lot of fear all the time. They have a lot of greed all the time. They want to just get everything because they're like, I will, otherwise I'll lose that. I have to, like, they're afraid of even children. So they're afraid of newborns, and they want to kill the newborns because they're afraid of even newborn babies. They're afraid of everything, anything and everything, right? That anything can just get to them. They're so afraid inside that they have to keep doing wrong upon wrong upon wrong. And Allah Ta'ala puts that awe in their hearts because of the shirk that they're doing, right? And and we can see, if we study all the religions of the world, there are two reasons why people do shirk. There are two basic reasons why anybody does any shirk, or follow anybody other than Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, go to anybody other than Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. One, from whom they feel that something that would benefit them of some kind. So, for example, in Hinduism, they have created like thousands of gods. All right, the monkey is a god, the cow is a god, the private parts even is a god. Like any guest who comes to your house is a god. For a woman, a husband is almost like a god. Like they have created all kinds of gods, from personalities, from people, from elements in the nature, from things, right? And they've created all of this. And the for example, when you ask somebody, okay, why do you worship a cow, for example, they say, your own mom leaves you in 2 years, but a cow keeps feeding you milk all their life, right? So there's a lot of benefit in it, right? But when they see, so anybody who benefits, like this is just an example, but anybody who sees a lot of benefit coming from anybody, they feel that, okay, we should worship them, right? And that's how shirk happens. Like you see a lot of benefit in something, and then you feel that, when your own relationship with Allah Ta'ala is strong, you will get pulled by that. There's a benefit in something else. The other reason is when you're afraid of something else, like somebody's afraid. Some people worship snakes and scorpions and things because they're afraid of them. Like they don't want to be like, okay, they will hurt us. So if we take care of it, or if we worship that, they will not hurt us. And same goes for for any other kind of worship of shirk of any kind. Like why do people follow certain personalities, or certain groups of people who are the in things? Because I want to have that benefit too. I want to be the, like, everybody who looks up to. I want to have that following. I don't want to listen to anything harsh from anybody. So, like, so, but what we have to understand is, those who are afraid of, just Allah, just one Allah, everybody else will be afraid of them. Allah Ta'ala will put their awe in everybody else's hearts. The one who's afraid of only Allah, Allah will put the awe for him in everybody's hearts. Even though anybody wants to do something wrong against them, they will not be able to do it. Even if they're able to do physically, their heart will not allow them to do it. They will shiver inside. They won't be able to do it. And the one who's not afraid of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that one actually will be afraid of everything else. Right? And what does Quran do when we're studying the Quran? Then from our hearts, the fear of people goes away. The more we study the Quran, the more and even in our relationships, then we don't go in our relationships with, maybe it's a relationship with the husband, relationship with the children, relationship with the parents. No matter what relationship we have, we don't go to even our relationships as a needy person. We go in a relationship, we have healthy relationships. We are not like, we don't tolerate abuse, but we are nice, we are forgiving, but we don't tolerate abuse, but we are forgiving, and we are good, and we are tolerant, and but we are not expecting too much from the other person. Yes, we give and take and everything, but we're afraid of only Allah. We feel in need of only Allah, right? We beg to only Allah. We don't beg to anybody else. We don't bow down to anybody else. We love and respect others. We follow them, as long as it is in obedience to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, right? So we do all of that, right? So the peer pressure goes away. The fear of people goes away when we are closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So what Allah ta'ala is teaching us is that, also when we take this fear of people out of our hearts, we'll see that a people conscious life is very tough, actually. You know, and if we just try for a week to not fear any human being for anything, not fear anybody, our life will be totally different. Even if we try for anything at all this week, I'm not going to be afraid. I'm not going to feel a need of or fear any human being, or feel that any human being or anything can benefit me more than Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, or I need to fear anybody or anything more than Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. There is no dalil that Allah ta'ala has given of shirk, right? Um, you know, so the the result of shirk is fire, and that is very bad, a very wretched place to be. And the place that there are many bad places to be in, right? There are many bad situations to be in, but the one that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is calling wretched, that is wretched at another level, right? So when we see there is dalil of Tawheed everywhere, and there is no dalil for shirk, there is no evidence for shirk anywhere, right? So what Allah Ta'ala is calling us to is come to Islam, come to the deen, telling the believers that have the faith and reliance and the trust and, the fear of Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala alone, right? And submit to Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala alone. Don't give in to anything. Be firm on your deen, right? There's a couplet in उर्दू, it says, वो एक सजदा जिसे तू गिरा समझता है, हजार सजदों से दिलाता है आदमी को निजात. Meaning that one prostration, that one sajda, that you are that you are so reluctant to do, that you are so that you feel it's not, maybe you feel it's not befitting to you, that one prostration, that sajda, meaning that sajda to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that you are that something in your heart is making you reluctant to do it, that you feel that maybe you will lose some dignity because of it, maybe people will look you at you funny or something. That one prostration will free you from thousands of prostrations, will free a human being from thousands of prostrations that he's doing, meaning the thousands of the people, the things that are controlling you. It will free you from all of that. May Allah Ta'ala make us of those people that are free from any kind of shirk of at any time. May Allah Ta'ala accept our coming together. May Allah Ta'ala make us of those who accept the biggest truth of this world, which is the Tawheed. May Allah Ta'ala keep us away from the biggest lie of this world, which is the shirk. And may Allah Ta'ala accept our coming together. Any goodness that came from today's talk is from Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala. He is the owner of all good. He is the owner of all benefit. He is the one who can protect from all harm. And He is the one who gives true success and our lens for success and failure. He is the one who teaches us what is true success. He is the one who shows us and teaches us how to protect ourselves from the ultimate loss. May Allah Ta'ala protect us from the ultimate loss. May Allah Ta'ala grant us the ultimate success. May Allah Ta'ala be pleased with us. May Allah Ta'ala make this talk a means of, even though it is full of mistakes, because I'm human, open to mistakes, yet may Allah Ta'ala make it a means of khair and barakah for us today and for anybody who listens to this anytime in the future. May Allah Ta'ala accept our coming together as sisters in Islam in this world, and may Allah Ta'ala reunite us as sisters in Islam under the shade of His throne on the day of judgment, when there will be no shade except His. May Allah Ta'ala allow us to drink from the hawd of the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, when there will be nothing to drink from except, when there will be no water except that water. And then may Allah Ta'ala reunite us once again in Jannatul Firdaus. Amin ya Rahman Rahimin. Subhanaka Allahumma ashhadu an la ilaha illa anta nastaghfiruka 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 wa natubu ilayk.